Let's look at the solution of this problem, which was there in HBC pre-finale. So this problem said that you have to print the posters, and if we carefully look at the problem statement, then there are certain things that actually require attention to be paid. And a lot of people made that mistake. So if we see here, what exactly the input format says is that you are given four things in one line, and this is X, Y, orientation, and the character. So here, if X given is 5 and Y given is 3, imagine like if you have to print a poster, so it is saying 5 rows and 3 columns. Now 5 rows and 3 columns if you print, then what essentially it will become is it will actually become a standing poster. But there are certain test cases which will give this input as well as standing along with it, and it will expect uh, it will give sleeping along with it, and it will expect you to kind of exchange these two and print the sleeping poster. Because if orientation was not given, then you could have gone and printed a poster with 5 rows and 3 columns, right? So so this was the catch, that most of people have made mistakes and couldn't crack this problem. So let's talk about now the solution to this problem. Okay, so this is saying that three test cases are there. So let's fix this window to the right. I will put a code in C++, but I'll be using C functions mostly. So let's take a look at the first is number of test cases. So let's say int t. So we'll do scene t, and after that we will say while t minus minus, for every test case we'll be reading the input, and the input essentially is x, y, o, and c. So we will declare x, y, orientation is a string, so we say char orientation, and let me make it said orientation can be 30 characters long, so no harm in taking little extra, and we say c. So I'm just taking little extra, we'll be using only 30 plus 1 for null character, but still we have declared it. So we say c in x, y, o, and c. So these four things we read, and now after reading it, what we need to do is we need to print this pattern. Now keep in mind that XY can be given in any order, so we have to exchange that in order to print standing or sleeping poster. Now there was one more glitch given, that the orientation can also be jumbled, or it can be any other string. It said any random string or standing or sleeping, and it can be in any case. So what we should do is first we will say convert O to lowercase. Orientation we should convert to lowercase, then we determine that what we have to print. So let's say we will be writing the logic for that. After that is done, if O is sleeping, that means here it described clearly sleeping posters are more in width. More in width means their columns will be more. So if their columns are more, they are width wise. So if you look at this poster, here more columns and less rows are there. Here more rows are there and less columns are there. So if it is sleeping, we are saying more columns, less rows. And otherwise, if junk or if O is standing, then it means more rows, less columns, and otherwise print -1. This is what exactly we wanted to do. Now it's all a matter of writing these functions and just executing it. So let's write the first function for converting O to lowercase. So I'll prefer writing separate functions rather than writing the entire logic here. It becomes easy to understand, easy to debug, and easy to fix in case there are any issues. So let's say convert to lowercase, and we pass O here, and this function we will write void convert to lowercase, we say char O, and what we do is we say for int I0 O of I not equal to null character, and we say I plus plus, and what essentially we will be doing is we'll say O of I is equal to this function, inbuilt function of library that we can use to lower O of I. This will convert it to lower, and in case we don't want to use a function, then what essentially we could have done is we could have checked if OI is capital character, then we can say OI minus capital plus small. So this is the trick it will do, but for this we should make sure that this is a capital character only. If it is lower, we can leave it in that. But it's preferable to use the function, so you don't have to worry about how this is working. Okay, so now this is converted to lowercase. After that, we will do if string compare of O with sleeping. If this gives 0, that means it's a sleeping poster. Else if string compare of O standing and 0, then we'll make sure that this is printed this way. And in last case, what we will do, in this case, we will print -1. So this case is taken care, so let's forget about it. Now in this case and this case, we have to worry about what we do. So if it is sleeping, so as I said, like here we need more columns, less rows. So what we can do is we can define two more variables, call row, and since column are more, so we say column is equal to max of, we say x comma y, and we say row is equal to min of x comma y. Now, these two functions are defined in algorithm file of C++, but if you have code in C, you can write these functions yourself. It's just a max of two variables and min of two variables. And this same thing will happen in a reverse way over here. So what we will do is call is equal to min of xy and row is equal to max of x comma y. Now once this is settled, then we can write a function. We say print poster, and to that we pass row, column, and then we pass the character which is C. Same way here also, print poster, row, column, C. Now let's go and write this function print poster. Now this function can be written independent of which kind of orientation it is, because based on orientation we have changed the rows and columns. So we say row, column, and we say char C. Now for each row, for int I0, I less than row, I plus plus, so for int J0, J less than column, J plus plus, and what we do is here we have to write our printing logic. So now here we will be printing two things. One is the character and another is spaces. Now logic for that, if we try to understand, is if I is 0, we want to print the character. If I is row -1, we want to print all the characters. But in J, if we look at, if J is 0, we want to print the character. But if J is anything else in between, we do not want to print a character, we want to print spaces. So here we need to figure out when to print spaces and when to print characters. If that logic we can crack, then this problem is almost done. So let's talk about printing spaces. And if you see, I say if I is 0 or if I is, let's say, row -1, same way, if J is 0 or J is col -1, in all such cases, we go ahead and we print %C, we print the character, and in all other cases, we go and printf a space. Now try to digest this logic, that will this work or not work. And after that, we also need to give printf/n, because for every row and column we have to go straight. Okay, so this is the logic, and now let's quickly look at whether this logic will work or not before we submit it. So for that, if we take a look at, this is 0th row, and like this is 5 by 3. So in 0th row and 4th row, we should be printing all the characters, and the same way in 0th column and the last column, we should be printing that character. Apart from that, anywhere else, we should be just printing a space. So let's quickly go and say compile and test. So we'll be able to see how our code performs on this sample test case, and we see that somehow this output is coming as same line. Why it says it passed, because ideally we should be giving a new line after the complete pattern is printed. So here I forgot to give the new line, printf. /n and def /n. Let's do compile and test once again, just to make sure that our output and this output is matching. And obviously after one also there is a new line to be given, so this, let's give two new lines, compile and test. So because here between two tests we are giving a blank line, so now if you see our output is matching the sample output, let's go ahead and submit. And we see that all tests for this are passing. Now a lot of people were asking what is the second test, what is the third test. So test cases are mainly where sleeping is given in capital letters, and some test cases are where this jumbled is like it's a big string given which is of 30 characters, and some test cases are where in place of 5 3 standing we have said 3 5 standing. Now if it is 3 and 5 standing, and if you go and print 3 rows 5 columns, it is no more standing. So make sure like this orientation is paid attention to. So this orientation has a significance. Using the orientation you may have to swap these two variables. So that was the catch in this problem. Apart from that, everything was just normal. So hope this video will help you answer your questions, and in case you stuck or stumble upon this problem, so this should be helpful. And this is the main goal of HBC, that we want people to learn, we want people to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. So thanks for watching.